Tick-tack, it's my clock telling me I should get up. Yeah, I should get up.
Hi, and welcome to The Conscious Loop, where woo-woo and the real world collide. I'm your host, Katrina DeAngelis. Join me as we explore what it looks like to live consciously almost always. Each episode, we dive into transforming mindsets and shifting paradigms through topics such as developing self-awareness, living authentically, communication, strengthening relationships, and leading from the inside out. If you're ready to break out of your unconscious loops and discover what else is possible, you came to the right place. You ready? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to The Conscious Loop. Today I have a guest expert on the show, Jami Monte, and she is a chartered professional accountant, a CPA, and the founder of Chillbooks. She educates entrepreneurs on the basics of bookkeeping and tax, helping them feel empowered about their finances. Jami also mentors other CPAs to bring education into their practice via the Chillbooks certification program. So if you are a human who has some sort of finances, which I assume you are, then this is definitely a podcast that you want to tune into. We'll dive into some of her unconscious loops that have really shaped her and who she is today as a business owner and a person, and also immediate tips that you can take action on to feel empowered and take control of your finances. Hi, Jami. It's so good to have you here on the show. I am so excited to share so much of your wisdom with the audience. I feel like I've had like a front row seat over the years to just seeing you develop not only your brand and your business, but also just who you are as a person. And I just can't wait to share that more with the world. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited for us to chat together, because when we chat, magic happens. So
it is so true. Magic does happen. And so, maybe to get started, I would love for you to share just a little bit about who you are and what you do. For those of you who haven't met Jami, she is like a bookkeeping badass, business badass, just all over human badass. So I would love for you to share a little bit about, maybe what contributed to where you are now and what are you up to now?
Yeah. So at this stage where I'm at now is where I've been for the past few years. Is I focus my efforts in business around teaching entrepreneurs how to manage their finances. So that's the bookkeeping badass that you were talking about. Is I really focus on giving entrepreneurs the tools that they need to feel confident in managing their finances, to feel less loss when it comes to tax season, and to actually connect with the financial side of their business, because that's something that a lot of people can shy away from and have trauma around and all that type of stuff. So that's what I do. I do it through my signature course. It's called Chillbooks, because we like to keep things chill up in here. And I also mentor accountants on bringing education into their practice via the Chillbooks model. So I work with accountants to help them educate their clients as well, because there's a lot more education that needs to happen in this financial space. So that's a little bit about what I do. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. And, I feel like you make it so fun. I feel like so many people have blocks, right, around money or handling their books or finances in general. And I feel like I've learned so much from you about how we show up and our personal presence really completely shifts people's experience of something, right? And so when we think about our books, when we think about finances, what are some of those unconscious patterns that you see happen often with your clients? And that moment when it shifts, what is that thing that you kind of that moment that shifts it? And I feel like a lot of it, my assumption is because you're just so fun and amazing and hilarious that people are just naturally, this is so fun. But is there anything that comes to mind that are some major shifts that you see happen for people in their journey?
Yeah. So I guess there's a shift before I work with someone, and there's a shift while we're working together. So I think the shift that happens before we work together and when it's the point where someone's like, I'm ready, sign me up for your course, like, let's move. There's a shift that happens from a place of avoidance and really like people a lot of the time, and this could be business finance or personal finance, they live in this loop, this unconscious loop of like, I should know better when it comes to this stuff. I should be doing better. I should know better by now. And you know what happens when we should ourselves is we shame ourselves. And when we're in that shame feeling, we tend to not move forward and not take action to make our situation better because we're ashamed. So we don't want, shame is like honestly such a heavy emotion that can really stop us from making progress. So I think what I see with a lot of business owners is they start their business and they kind of like, I'll figure out the finances later. And then when later comes, they're like, well, now I should have done this at the start. I should know better. And then it's just this like loop of like, I don't want to face that right now. Cause it's, what if I'm not making as much money as I think I should? What if I uncover something that's really upsetting for me? And so the shift that happens, I think in the early phases, and what gets people to move out of that shame space is when they get a piece of education that they're ready to hear and they actually are able to grasp a concept that they never thought they would. So what I like to do with what I put out into like content space, whether my email list or Instagram or whatever, is I like to share educational information with the style of how you and I are talking now, that is easy for people to digest and absorb so that they get that little boost of, okay, it's not that scary. And I guess I'm not the only one who doesn't know this because look at all the other people that are liking this post, right? Look at all the other people, right? Like it's like, oh, or when they come to like a webinar or something that I host and there's a room of 30 people who are all like, I know I'm like 6 months in or I'm 3 years in and I know I should know better, but I'm here. And people are like, I'm here too. Like, it's cool. So that's, I think, getting out of that shame and then building a little bit of that confidence in not only is it okay that I don't know this right now, but look, I do have the capability to absorb and understand these things. So that's a big shift, I think, that happens before we work together.
Yeah. Wow. The shame, like that is so real. I feel like, even in my line of work, when it comes to working with leaders, especially earlier in their leadership journey, there's so much shame around like not asking questions because they think that they should know. But then it's like the result of not asking the question or not taking that step forward is the buildup, right? Like it's so much harder to, go back and fix things than it is to just like be empowered and handle it in the moment and not like allow that buildup to happen. And so it's like this cycle in the unconscious loop of avoiding shame, guilt, avoiding, and then things start to pile up. And then eventually the unconscious loop is conscious. And that's what you help people, kind of do within their business and finances. And so I'm curious, what's something that you want to share with people that will maybe help them break that cycle earlier? So when it comes to really being ready to receive even the education component or hear certain things or be interested, because a lot of times we even avoid. What are some things that you can share with the audience who might have shame around that certain area that will help them be ready to hear and dive into some of their bookkeeping or their finances?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing is accepting where you're at right now. So you're not alone. I promise you, no matter where you're at in your journey, I have met people, 10 years into business. Actually, the other day I spoke to someone who said they'd been in business for 15 years and they never figured this stuff out. And so they're working alongside someone who literally just started their business and collected their first payment from a client this week. So I promise you, no matter where you are, you're not alone. And it's okay to accept where you are at that, like at this stage. So I think like giving yourself that compassion to know like it's okay to be where you are in your financial journey, and taking time to really anchor into that. And if it helps to know that you're not the only person like that. So, because I find even with me, like, because a lot of the times my shame comes from comparing myself to other people. And so sometimes it just helps if you're going to play the compare and despair game, then you got to be fair and compare yourself to people at all different stages. And you can't just be like, everyone's at this phase and I'm over here. Remember that you're not alone and there are other people early on in their journey. And usually the people who think they are that they really don't know anything are usually the people that are like, you know, way more than you think. And then the people that think they know so much, I'm like, yo, you've been doing your bookkeeping wrong this whole time. Like, it's like so funny. You probably know more than you think. But so that's something that I like to share that I feel like it's a powerful statement, but I don't know, is really that financial literacy is not a function of your intelligence. It's a function of your ability to learn. And so really don't let your financial literacy, your bookkeeping skills, your tax understanding, all of that make you feel like you're not smart and that you can never figure it out, or like I'm bad with money, whatever. It's a function of your ability to learn and grow. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, then you are growth oriented. And so you can learn and grow just as you do in other areas of your life. So that's what I want to share on that piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. That's so powerful because it's so true, right? Like I remember even my journey, and Jami and I used to live together. So I feel blessed to have been able to even just like listen in on some of her conversations or creating her content, because I probably wouldn't be seeking this out otherwise. And I was almost like forced to be in that. And I was like, wow, this is so powerful and so transformational, because I would look at money go in every month, money go out, and just be like, okay, great, cool. At least I'm still making money, but have no awareness over anything. And I remember the first spreadsheet that you shared with me that was like how to track your finances and like tax deductibles and things like that. It was like this huge light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, this is so fun. It's so fun to plug in these numbers, like something that I never thought would have been exciting was exciting. And I think it's that shame of, well, I don't know. So as long as I'm doing fine, like that's enough. And I'm such a learner, but there was almost this thing in my mind that was like, you don't need to know this. It's not important right now. But that was just protecting me. Like it was literally just protecting me because I didn't want to maybe put myself in a situation that would push me out of my comfort zone in that space, even though in other areas I might be, it's easy for me to dive into the unknown, but within finance, and I think that comes from, like how you grow up, some of your money mindsets, like all of that. It's like sometimes easier. Ignorance is bliss, right? I feel like I hate saying that, but at the same time, in a way, I think that's what I was doing, right? To be completely honest. And so also one thing, I recently learned this term that's like, that's a bar, which is when you are rapping and it's like a good rhyme or something. People say that's a bar. I never knew that, but you said if you're going to compare,
such
you
an LA vibe. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's an LA vibe. But I was like, oh my God, damn, Jami, you just rapped. So for those of you who didn't hear it, if you're going to compare, you got to be fair. Okay.
Yes. Okay. You can't just compare. Yes. You can't just compare to the person who makes you feel like crap when you compare yourself to them. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to look at everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's never too early and it's never too late to start something. And so, I think that's encouraging because it's like, there's no right or wrong time. The time is it can always be now. Right. And so now that, I'm reflecting on living together as well, I would love for you to share some of the unconscious loops that you actually had to overcome as a business owner as well, and stepping into the line of work and really how you're serving the world today. What are some of the unconscious loops or things that you had to work to or work through to get where you are?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have something for that, but I also wanted to just say that that excitement that you felt when you looked at that spreadsheet is a real. That's because I think I didn't mention like what the transformation looks like when I work with people. And there's a moment of clarity when you realize when it comes to your finances, there are ways to manage things. So you're not like recreating the wheel here, like you're not, there are like systems and processes and spreadsheets to suit where you are. And you don't have to actually create stuff on your own. And like, I find that like it's usually when somebody sees their like finances for like their profit and loss for the first time, which is if you're not familiar, if you're not a business owner or you are and you're not sure what it is, a profit and loss is a statement, a financial statement that tells you for a specific period of time how much money you made or lost. So you could say, how much did I make in the month of May? And then the statement will show you how much you made in sales from all the different offers you have, and then how much you spent in expenses. So all of your subscriptions, maybe your contractors, maybe anything that cost you money in the business. And then it'll show you the bottom line of how much you made. And usually, and this is, like I said, it's not something we need to like create on our own. This is a universal thing that comes out of bookkeeping. And so usually when people see that, they get that moment of, first of all, there's a way to do this. I just needed to learn it. And second of all, it's not as scary as I thought. This is just like another tool to add to my toolkit of assessing the holistic picture of how my business is doing, or holistic picture of how my personal finances are if you're not a business owner. So that just reminded me of that, because I think that we have this idea that like it's so like elusive, but like the nice thing about finance, about your business finances, your personal finances, is it's very figure outable, because there are specific things that you can do to get to specific places and specific reporting. So as much as we can be scared about accounting and finance because it feels so like intense, at the same time, it's kind of soothing to know that there are specific ways to do things. So again, it has nothing to do with your intelligence. It's just you needing to be able to learn the ways to do things. So sorry, I just felt like I was like, I need to say this because I think that people are like, how do I get there? And the nice thing is that there are clear paths to get there and clear things that you can learn, and something that we really embody inside Chillbooks. So myself and my clients and accountants who are Chillbooks licensed is really we're about the mentality that you could do this in a chill way and take steps and learn something. Then you implement the next thing you learn, and then you implement the next thing you learn. You don't have to all of the sudden be like, I have a profit and loss statement, I know what that is, or I feel good about this Excel. Like that's something like, give yourself grace, take your time, like understand one teeny tiny concept, let yourself feel confident about that. Then you add on, keep it chill. So yeah.
I have a question on that, because I think you said something really important there. And I think a lot of people, because the shame comes up, they, myself included, like you just want to hand it off to somebody to do everything. And it protects you in the way that like you don't have to learn it. You can just like hand it off, but then you're not empowered and you don't know certain things. And that can also be another whole like shame cycle, right? So why do you think it's important to address that up front and learn certain things and how to do them yourself before just making the decision to hand it off to someone? How can it support people to really have more insight and feel empowered with their bookkeeping and finances?
Yeah. So here's the thing. You are the CEO of your business, and you're also the CEO of your life. And no matter what, it doesn't matter if you marry someone and they're like, I got the finances, boo, don't worry about it. You're still filing your own tax return, okay? You are still responsible for your finances and to have your own back when it comes to this stuff. And in business, it doesn't matter if you hire the best accountant in town and they're taking care of everything for you. Don't forget that you are still the one who signs off on that tax return at the end of the year to say, this information is correct. And if you have any questions, you come to me, not to my accountant, because my accountant is not responsible for me reporting things accurately. I am. So you're the CEO of your life. You're the CEO of your business. And by turning a blind eye, you are opening yourself up to, first of all, the anxiety of just having to rely on other people, which does not feel good when you're like, I have no idea about this. I have my person and they handle it. But if you don't have a general understanding, it can be scary. Anytime something comes up, you're like, I need that person. I need this. Like, rather than, I got this, I have my person, but also like, I'm not scared about this question right now. So that's the first thing, is like, I really want to encourage people to step into their being responsible as the head of their life, and meaning that no matter what, you have to oversee your finances. You're a CEO, you still are managing the CFO who's reporting the numbers to you. You're still the one asking them questions. Why does this look like this? Why does this look like that? So you never can fully outsource your numbers. So it is what it is. And so for people who are like, they have that thought running through their head, like, this stuff is hard, I'm just going to outsource it. What I want to say is, you still get to outsource it. Okay. You can still outsource your numbers, but I really want you to gain a general understanding of what's going on so that you feel empowered working with whoever is supporting you. When it comes to your bookkeeping, I have seen a gajillion nightmares. Like last week, I literally just talked to a client who was paying a few $100s a month to someone to manage their books, because they were like, I'm an artist. I'm not a numbers person. I'm handing this off to someone and I'm doing the right thing because I don't know this stuff. So I'm outsourcing it. And she decided to transition to Chillbooks. And right away, she found literally $1,000 worth of savings just because of the way they were misclassifying things. And she would have never been able to catch that if she didn't have, and this is just at the start of the course, by the way, she hasn't even been through anything, but she's just starting out, and just giving that oversight and like looking into things, she found stuff. And so she could do the course, take the books back on her, back to her plate, because we'll help her automate as much as possible. So her books will be easy. But in the end, she could still, after 3 months, be like, I know what's up, but I still don't want to do this myself. But then when she hands it off, she'll actually be able to oversee them. So I don't know if that answers your question, but like, empower yourself with the understanding, and then you can make a decision whether or not to outsource. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's so powerful. It's like, you can still hand it off, but have awareness, or have, a level of understanding to what is going on. And that's also going to help you support whoever you do hand it off to be successful as well, because you're going to understand your business more than that person. So like, the more you know how to position certain things to who you are handing something off to, then that's going to set you both up for success. And so when you think about that, right, like for the listeners here today who maybe are looking for a little bit more support in their books, like what are like 2 to 3 things that really stand out that somebody can do today? Like right now, they can like Google it, they can like go to your page and read it. Like, what are the most important things that somebody can do right now to just like take that first step forward?
Mm-hmm. So one is, make sure you have separate business bank account from your personal bank account. This is going to make your bookkeeping so much easier. And if you do nothing else but that, you're still going to be alleviating work for yourself down the line. So get those accounts separated and thank me later. Send me a message in 6 months from now when it's tax season saying thank you. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is, and I think we probably will have some Canadian listeners and some outside of Canada, because you are an international woman. And so I would say, for anyone who's in Canada, who has a business in Canada, get really clear on sales tax. And I'm just going to give an easy plug here. Download my free sales tax guide. It's called What the HST Am I Doing? And it will teach you what the HST you're doing when it comes to sales tax. So I'll get Katrina to put in the show notes. Yeah, you can do that, right? Sweet. So that will get you going and understanding. Even if you're registered for GST or HST, this is a good place to start. If you're not registered and you're like, what does that even mean? Also a great place to start. It also comes with a free tracker so you can actually start tracking your sales tax. For people that are not in Canada, I would encourage you to look up your sales tax requirements where you are, because I find that sales tax in general can be something tricky that gets people into trouble down the line if they should have been registered or they haven't registered. And your government resources are there to help you. Your government is making money off of this. They want you to collect sales tax for them. So usually you can just call a local tax authority and say, this is my business. This is what I'm doing. What am I supposed to do next for sales tax? So that's something, get educated on that, because that can be a little tricky spot. And then the third thing is, if you don't have a bookkeeping system, then a really good place to start is to track your finances for a month. Like, open your bank account, open your Stripe, Square, wherever you're collecting client sales from clients, and just take a moment to make your own version of the profit and loss statement that I said earlier. Add up all of your sales for the month, add up all of your expenses for the month to see what happened. So just look at it, no judgment, like coming back to our unconscious loops. I know we don't want to do this because we're scared that we might uncover that we're making less money than we thought. I'm here with you. I even have months where I don't want to run my P&L because I'm like, I don't want to see it. Do the thing. You will find something, I promise. So that's what I would say is a nice also first step into getting more connected with those numbers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that everyone can literally go do right now. And I think that what the HST am I doing, that was one of the ones that I used where I was like, I love this. I feel so empowered now.
Yay!
Yeah, highly recommend. Amazing. Well, now I would love to transition to even now hearing your journey as well, like as a business owner, and also, just going through different parts of your life. I feel like I've seen you evolve in so many ways. And I would love for you to share with our audience some of those unconscious loops that you really had to make conscious and put effort into rewiring to get you to the place that you are today.
Oh my gosh, yes. So just so y'all know, poor Katrina would have to sit and listen to me record Instagram stories over and over and over and over again in our apartment when I was still getting used to putting my face on the internet, which still is such a weird thing when you think about it. But we go way back. She's seen it all. And I think there was a stage in my business. So when I first started my business, I didn't really know that I was going to be in the educational space. I am an accountant. I'm a CPA. So what people, project on me is like, taxes, you do taxes. And so that's what I started my business off doing, was just filing taxes for people. It's, as a CPA, it's an easy sell. It's not, everyone needs their taxes done. And so my business was growing and I was, filling up my tax practice every tax season. But what I realized very quickly was that what I was doing was actually kind of a Band-Aid solution for my clients, because I would, spend time helping them to Band-Aid up and patch up their shoddy bookkeeping work at the end of the year when we filed taxes. And I know that they were not getting the best tax returns possible because it was impossible to go through 12 months of proper financial management during the busiest season of the year when all of my work is coming to me. And that's what most accountants battle with, is you really can't do your best work as an accountant during tax season. It's really hard. And so I realized that the actual filing of the tax return was not getting to the root cause of why everybody hates their taxes and why it's extra difficult for entrepreneurs. And I was like, shoot, the issue here is not The issue here is not that you need help filing your taxes. It's that you don't know what's going on. So you are in a state of fear, confusion, stress for like 6 months of the year. So by the time you're getting up to the tax deadline, it's a really uncomfortable process. So I was like, what I'm going to do, this is how I came up with Chillbooks, is like, I'm going to work with people to actually set up their financial foundation and educate them so they understand what's going on, so that tax season is just like literally a click of a button. And so I came up with this idea, and very quickly, a lot of people were, family members. I remember like one of my family members being like, no one's going to pay you to do that. And like, I was crushed. I'll never forget it. Somebody I love and respect told me that, who is also a business owner. And I was like, oh my God, it's true. Who do I think I am? Like, that he's like, no one's going to pay you to like teach them how to do this. Like, you should just be doing it at tax season for them. And so, and when I would talk to other accountants in the industry about the educational piece, a lot of them also just would kind of be like, oh, like, you can't actually teach people who are not accountants to bookkeep. They're going to mess it up. How could you trust for them to do it properly? It's better to just let them create a mess and then clean it up at the end of the year, kind of thing. And yeah, so I think what was really hard for me was I created this concept that I was excited about. I knew that it was going to make a huge impact to people in a specific niche, which is the people that are not at the stage where they have a full team supporting them financially. The numbers are falling on them, and they're just talking to an accountant once a year and not getting any clarity or confidence from it. And so Katrina and I'll never forget sitting in our living room. I feel like I was like sitting on the side of the couch or something, or you were sitting on the side of the couch and I was sitting at my desk. Yeah. And I was just like having a hard time selling and believing in the course. Like, actually, do you have anything do you remember what started that conversation?
I literally remember you saying, it was like, I had just looked over one of the workbooks that you created. You're like, can you like see if this is helpful? And I was like, this is so helpful. I love it. And then like literally 5 minutes later, Jami goes, you know what? I think I'm just going to put this on hold, and I'm going to go back to doing like accounting, and I'm just going to file people's taxes. And I was like, I'm sorry, let's rewind here. So all of the work that you just put into this amazing idea, you're going to now go back to just like filing people's taxes. And I remember it was because you said like, yeah, like that's how I'm going to get paid. Like, people aren't going to pay for this. And there was a moment where I remember I was just like, no, you are doing this. And I don't think you like actually listened to me. Like, you definitely had to go through your own process to get there, but I was pretty confident and adamant in the fact that you were going to do it.
Yes, you were definitely more confident than I was in it. I knew, yeah. And of course, as an accountant, I'm profit focused. So I think a lot of people are like not trained the same way accountants are trained. Like, we're basically trained to be negative. We're like, what's the reality? Are you going to actually make money? What do things look like right now? Whereas I think a lot of people might follow business from a place of passion, and then they kind of figure out the profit later. And for me, I'm like, this is dead in the water, right? Like, I'm like, we're not making you any right now. Forget it. And no one's going to pay me for this and all this stuff. And so what really, truly kept me going at that point was I had this like thought that I would practice all of the time, was that if I keep taking action consistently, I will create the life that I want. And I was like, just keep taking action. That's like, and so it doesn't even have to be strategic. Like, you don't have to pick the most, like, obviously you want to do the most impactful step next, but it's really more about keeping the motion going and creating momentum. And so eventually, I'll never forget, somebody booked a consultation call with me, and I had like an option in my consult, like, do you want to talk about Chillbooks or do you want to talk about tax filing? And no one ever selected Chillbooks. and somebody selected Chillbooks, and I was like through the moon. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they met the different drop down. And I got on the call with them, and they were already like, yeah, basically I read your website. I already know this is exactly what I need. How do I sign up? And that, I think, was like a big, a big piece of tangible evidence that helped me to battle the no one's going to pay you for this, right? Like, because, the difference between 0 to 1 is huge, like huge. So, I kept taking action. I put my sales page out there. I filmed 1 million Instagram stories on the couch next to you. I did all things. And eventually you start to get those pieces of evidence that start to build the contrary of the other, things that are running through your mind. So now what's crazy is not only have I pushed through, the belief that people are going to want to pay for such a service, because as soon as they pay for it and I see the trend, I'm like, yeah, of course they are. This is why I created this. But also now I actually work with accountants and I help them to do the same thing in their practice, which is really cool because I used to think no accountant believes in what I offer. But after I've put hundreds of people through the program, now accountants are starting to realize we do need to provide education to these clients because they're getting kind of left in this messy middle where they're not getting the support they need. And this is how to do it. So, yeah.
Wow, so powerful. And there's so many things. So I just want to let, first of all, that sink in for people, because you said something so powerful. It was, if I continue to take action consistently, I will create the life I want. And that's just such a beautiful statement and mindset and affirmation, or whatever it is that you want to call it, because it's putting you in the mindset to also be looking, or at least be open to evidence to confirm your unconscious pattern, right? If the unconscious loop was, I'm never going to get paid for this, and that's usually somebody else's voice, right? It comes from, in your case, like a family member saying that to you. So you have to be willing to find evidence to disconfirm that, right? And to confirm something else. And there's a powerful book I read recently too called The Power of One More. And I feel like that's it's that action piece. It's the taking one more action, doing it one more time, right? Putting one more video out and building that consistency, because it just takes one. It's going from 0 to 1. And when you get that one, it's like everything makes sense. And so I just want to acknowledge you for doing that and being willing and open and continuing to put yourself out there, because now you are serving so many people. And it's amazing to see even the impact now on accountants, right? It's like it's now going to the next level of accountants are realizing how important this is for people. So thank you for sharing that. And
thank you.
One thing, maybe before we end off, because we're getting pretty close to time, I want to give you the opportunity to share anything that maybe you didn't share that would be really helpful for the audience to know, anything that comes to mind, if it's, a tip or maybe an experience or just something that you want to leave the audience with. And then I would love for you to share a couple ways that people can connect with you or learn from you and work with you.
Cool. Yeah. So I think that what I want to leave you with is I really want to anchor into what I mentioned earlier about the Chillbooks way and doing things in a chill way. Is you don't have to figure all of this finance stuff out right away. This is a lifelong process. So, and things change, tax rules change, your business changes, your life, your work changes. And to give yourself time and patience to build that relationship with your finances and take it at a pace that feels good for you. Because it's not going anywhere. It's better for you to start today. You've already listened to this podcast, so I think you can check off making progress for this week, But really do, as long as you keep taking action consistently and keep working to learn more, you're going to get to a place where you feel confident about your finances. So be chill about it. Don't try to hustle your way to figuring everything out. Take your time to integrate new concepts. Take one thing that we spoke about today and embody it. Think about it. Maybe search it up more. But give yourself that patience and time. There's no rush. I'm still learning things about finance all the time. I'm still learning new things about QuickBooks. It's not, you can be an expert and you also can still always be learning. So give yourself that space.
One thing as you were talking, I had this concept where essentially it's like you're dating your finances. Like, go on a date with your finances. Like, you're with your finances always. So foster a really deep, loving, connected relationship with it through dating your finances.
Yeah, spend some time. Go log into your online banking, it doesn't have to be some big crazy reinvention of creating an entire budget. It literally could be logging into your banking and looking at what happened this month and spending 5 minutes doing that. And that's cultivating your relationship, giving it the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I like that, dating your finances. And that's also another really great tip that I didn't share is setting aside time. So whatever it is, I tell people, they ask me how often should I do my bookkeeping? And do you recommend me doing it monthly, quarterly, weekly? And I basically am just okay, here's the deal. Pick an amount of time that you're comfortable spending on this, and whatever you get done in that time is great. So obviously we want to keep everything up to date all the time, and we want to have our books up to date and everything like that. But the first things first is how much time can you reasonably dedicate to this? If it's 15 minutes in a week, then put that in your calendar, and whatever you do during that 15 minutes is tied to your finances, and you're already going to be better off than you were before.
Yeah, I love that. All right, my date with my finances is following this podcast. And amazing. Thank you so much, Jami. You've shared so many helpful tips and just really making this such a more human process, which is one of the things I love about you. So I would love for you to share, and I'll put everything in the show notes as well, but what are some ways people can stay in touch with you, work with you, for those that are ready to either dive into the educational component or really ready to dive into their bookkeeping? How can people stay connected with you?
Yeah, so definitely connect with me on Instagram. Follow me at jami.monte. Trina will put it in the show notes. And let me know that you listen. I would love to hear your favorite takeaway. So don't be shy to slide into the DMs. It's me in there. I would love to hear from you. But Instagram is where I like to play. I love being on there. I love sharing educational things that, silly things of me dancing, whatever, all the stuff. So come there for the education, stay for the dancing videos. And then my website. So my website, there's a resources section that you can plug into to check out even the HST guide we talked about today. And yeah, if you want to work together, there are two ways to work together. One is, if you're an accounting professional, is the Chillbooks certification program, where I can mentor you and help you build that education part of your practice, or help you build your practice as an education practice. And then if you're an entrepreneur, we'll link Chillbooks in the show notes. But if you're feeling empowered and ready to move forward, Chillbooks is the way. You can literally click it, purchase it, and start working on your numbers right now, and start to chip away at the journey through that course. So the course is very much short videos that you can plug into and that build on each one, so that eventually, by the time you've completed the course, you've built your financial foundation.
Amazing. And for those of you who still have the unconscious loop of finances are not fun, head to Jami's page, and that loop will instantly be rewired, because she does make it fun through dancing and more. So for that reason alone, head on over. And Jami, it was so amazing having you on the show. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Like what you heard and want more? Stay connected with our community on social media using the links below. Like us on your favorite podcast provider and sign up for the Conscious Loop newsletter, where we only send you goodies with one intent: to break your unconscious loops. If you have an unconscious loop you want to break free from, let us know so we can feature that loop on the show. Info and show notes, and we'll see you next time in the Conscious Loop.